worst is... Ooh.
You have the honors.
Did I
Go.
put this in the right way? I hope I put this in the right way. Harry
gonna
Potter
find out.
and the Chamber of Secrets. We said the
Cool,
worst.
ain't no secret.
I'm going to say one good thing about it.
Yes.
It was some of the magic of the first, and it almost had... oh, I know. Isn't this the one with Aragog, with the spider out in the forest?
Yeah, it is.
That was cool, and I love the practical effects of Aragog, where they do that close-up, you know? He's got all his eyes. That was very nice.
Counterpoint, bad thing about Chamber of Secrets, and boy,
Yeah.
is there a lot. No one cares about Ginny because they don't build it properly. So
Oh my God.
most of the main story is just dropped out from underneath you. Matt, what else sucks about this movie?
It's way too long. It's
really
aimed at children, and it's 4.5 hours long. And then in all of that time, like you said, they just barely at the end they go, "Oh yeah, by the way, Jenny was doing this the whole time." Oh,
Here's what I have to say. Here's what's good.
Yeah.
After waiting that extensive period of time where you're watching these children, you do get to watch Harry Potter kill a giant snake. That is one of the cooler things he's done in his entire life. So I will say that as a climax, Chamber of Secrets has got some good ones. Matt,
I watched you climax about that. All right, yep.
Matt, what is better than Chamber of Secrets?
Better than Chamber of Secrets, and it was a race for the bottom.
Boy, was it.
Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Oh,
This movie... Oh, go.
Yeah, can I take the good part about this?
Please.
It actually looks like a movie.
Yep, it does.
Like, this is the first one that has the vision of a standalone film. You could argue this for Half-Blood Prince, but I think Seven really is shot quite well. Matt, why is it bad?
Was it bad? It's about 2 hours of just hanging out in the woods with only Radcliffe and Watson. The two worst actors in the entire franchise are together. What's the opposite of sizzling? It's like finding like an old sausage and like old breakfast, cold and left over. That's my bad.
I was actually I'm gonna flip that. It's also bad that the entire movie is Radcliffe and Watson because Rupert Grint is the strongest part of the Harry Potter trio, and he is left absent. So similar to your grievance, but mine is simply that Ron is not in it enough. He gets the shaft for a large portion of the movie. But is there a redeeming quality that we can bring up?
There absolutely is. The ending scene is spine-tingling, chill-inducing, fantastic horror with blood dripping, the sound of flies, and it has a pretty damn good ending.
Yeah, no, I'm there. Matt, how do you feel about this next one?
The next one is
Harry Potter.
Third worst, Prisoner of Azkaban.
The third movie is the third worst. Imagine that.
I get to say the good. Alfonso Cuarón's incredible vision and the like whimsical feel. Even when this movie is really boring in the middle, Cuarón makes every single shot a joy to look at.
I am going to say a negative of the film is, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to swipe it from under your feet. The middle of the section, the middle of the movie is a black hole of where I don't remember what happens. It's a whole lot of exposition.
It's like Return of the Jedi in the Ewok Village. It's so blah.
There's a good 20-minute chunk in there where they could have just turned off the movie and I would have remembered about the same. But, Matt, what else is bad? Or is there something good because I stole your bad thing?
No, that's fine. Actually, let's say I don't think I can think of anything else bad about it other than... Oh, you know what? They don't properly insinuate the Sirius Black dread that the book so perfectly displayed,
Yes.
where you're like, what's going to happen? Harry's going to get murdered. They gloss over it. It's not serious enough with Mr. Black. So that's my bad. And you're good.
My good thing about Prisoner of Azkaban is that it's really the first movie, I would say, that pushes that adult theme. The first movie is very childlike. The second one, like you said, we could argue, gets towards that. But I think 3 moving into 4 is really where it takes on a life of its own. It starts to get more dark, more adult, and they really start to let some of the world's heavier themes align. It's also one of the first movies where we get to see numerous kinds of magics, which I like quite a bit.
Great point.
Yes.
Next one. This will be 1, 2, 3, fourth best and fifth worst. The Harry Potters and the Goblets of Fires.
There's so many fires and there's so many goblets, man.
If you watch the review, at the beginning of it, I go, Goblet of Fire sucks. And then after we watch it, I say, this was the best one of the four. And then the next movie, I go, nope, Goblet was terrible. I remember this as bad because, I'm supposed to say something good.
You do.
My quick synopsis was that it has many highs and it has many lows. The good, oh my God, the reveal of Voldemort at the end was worth sitting through the whole Yule Ball to see Voldemort finally appear. Harry Potter's alone. The showdown, amazing. Bad.
I'm gonna back off that. I was going to say Yule Ball was the worst, but in the scene right after Harry comes out of the Triwizard Tournament, has fought Voldemort, he's crying over the dead body of Robert Pattinson. It's a very effective scene, except when the actor who is crying over his dead son goes, "My boy!" And it really kills the entire momentum of the scene. So that actor and that specific line, one of the worst parts of the entire film.
Absolutely. I will say another bad thing about it. It suffers from the problem of trying to fit every single thing in the books. Here's some dragons. Here's Victor Crumb, but he doesn't have anything to say. Here's Fleur, but she has nothing to say. We're going to put all the characters in. Here's Joe. There's not enough time to have any kind of chemistry with any of them. It goes through, and a lot of it doesn't even feel anywhere close to being realistic. So it's too spread out, too underdeveloped, and just feels like somebody took a photograph of the book and the pages and put it on screen. Good for you, Matt.
To counterpoint that, I think the reason it's so segmented, so cut up, is because there's so much stuff in this movie that you never will see again, and never even gets brought up. And this is really the movie, when I say I like things that are inside the magical realm but aren't necessarily wand spells, this is that movie. You got merpeople, you got centaurs, you got giant dragons, you got people flying on broomsticks and all sorts of crazy stuff. When it comes to actual set pieces, I will say, I believe this is the most diverse. Goblet of Fire is the most diverse variety of things that happens. Yeah, it's chunky and it's all segmented, but I think as far as grab bag goes, Goblet of Fire has a ton of stuff for everybody, so that makes it good in my book.
All right, better than Goblet of Fire.
What else could it be?
The very first one, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone if you're an ignorant North American bastard.
Hey.
Did you want to start off with the good, or do you want to keep this going with me saying the good first?
I'm going to say a good one is, it was the film. This is going to sound so cheesy, but it's honest. This is the film that started it all. If Christopher Columbus and crew did not do as well as they did with this one, we wouldn't have the series to thank. We've seen numerous young adult films like Cirque du Freak have a very poor start, and then you never see the series come to fruition. Thankfully, this movie paved the way for the series we have come to love. So it's a little bit of a cop-out, but it's true.
I'll say bad. There's not a lot to really hate about this movie. It's an extremely solid movie, and it's magical. It captures the spirit of it. I would say bad. The kids are probably at their worst in terms of acting.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, you know what else I was going to say? I'll let you expound on that. I was going to say it doesn't have any big standout moments. There's nothing about it that's super gets you out of your seat. It just kind of like coasts along, and it's fine. It's solid. That's not a very good. We're getting to the top of the list. It's hard to find faults.
It's no big deal. Here's the fault, and I'll just expunge on what you said. That's not even a word, I don't think. When they casted these kids, they cast them for a lifetime of Harry Potterage without knowing, and this is really when you see all the actors at their base prime. So Daniel Radcliffe is just a normal child. Rupert Grint is insanely good, but he outshines the Emma Watson, who's trying to play like this posh little like know-it-all, which is reflective of the book. But honestly, if there were no adults to keep it floating, Draco Malfoy is also a bit shitty in this one, if I remember correctly. Pardon my French.
He's bad.
Yeah, so I would say the kids, they don't hold it up. It's really weak on performance side. Matt, but what's the greatest thing about it? End it with something good.
The best thing about it is that this is a great standalone Harry Potter movie that anybody could watch. It was just a perfect family adventure. It captured the book very, very well and was where the later movies in the series have gotten into like all this crazy horror stuff, this was just a very fun magical adventure with a killer score. The total package of it, the tone, the feel, was just a little Harry Potter movie. It was perfect in that way. All right, next up, number 3, third best is the Half-Blood Prince.
Oh boy, the blood that's halved.
I'll start off with the good.
Give me it.
This one had a lot of high highs. This was still an inconsistent one for me. If you have a good one, please jump in.
I have a really good one.
Okay.
This is probably one of the most tense scenes. I feel like they embrace the horror, but when Snape is teaching Harry the Legiman's curse or whatever, where they get to go into each other's mind, there's a very specific point in which Harry rebounds the curse and goes into Snape's mind, and that entire sequence is both scored and audio design. Everything about it is goosebump worthy. It's still watching it multiple times later. It is a very, very excellent scene. And when I think Half-Blood Prince, that is the first thing that jumps out at me. And the first thing in my mind is that specific scene between the late and great Alan Rickman and Daniel Radcliffe, who actually holds his own. That scene in particular.
The bad would be it's inconsistent and the pacing is a bit off. There are some great moments, and then there's a lot of really dumb moments where Radcliffe and Watson can't pull it off, that just sort of kill it. And I think the ending is a little bit lackluster after we see friggin' Dumbledore die. How about you? What's your bad?
I would say that although I love Slughorn as a character, I would say there is quite a bit of downtime in that where they like to show off his whole "I like to collect students" thing, and yeah, it's important, but I feel like there's not as much class time or school time as much as it is just like a teacher meeting a few kids in a room. I feel like this one in particular feels very focused on the Harry story and doesn't really try to include too much of the outer school stuff, except for when it's applicable to the story. And that's something that I know you and both I really enjoy about Harry Potter is the world building around it. So this one is kind of absent in that regard.
Quick question. Does this one have that showdown between Malfoy and Potter in the bathroom?
Yeah, and this one also has the luck potion and the teeth, which I know you're going to like.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. This is also one of the first times, even though Radcliffe acts terribly in a lot of the movie, when he gets to pretend to be kind of drunk on the lucky potion, and when he's talking about the spider dying, he's like, yeah, the teeth. It's the first time I really liked his character. He's really funny. He has some other funny moments in this one that really, really surprised me after watching him just stink it up for 5 movies. This was really excellent. I loved sort of those character moments.
Let me retcon this in real quick. Prisoner of Azkaban, my good is the time turner. That shit is great.
Yeah, that was a great finish.
Definitely. I mean, the ending as a whole is kind of like meh, but I love that whole plot line because it's time travel. And once again, I love other kinds of magics. And it's kind of redeeming for Hermione, who usually gets the short end of the stick, especially from us as critics. But Matt, did we accurately cover Half-Blood Prince?
We did.
Moving on.
We're on to number 2. By the way, you just like it when it's like a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah, dude, I love it when it's cut up and crazy and weird. I love Christopher Nolan.
We're on number 2.
The runner-up
is...
What is it?
Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Hey, for those following along at home, that means you know what number 1 is, but
shh.
Deathly Hallows Part 2.
My favorite part about Deathly Hallows Part 2?
The tagline.
It all ends.
It all ends here, boys.
I would say the ratio, and it feels like a movie. It's like a movie should be. It's a lot of action. They got all the exposition out of the way in the first one, and they just focused so tightly on what they had. So in terms of like the pace and the feel, it felt like a riveting action movie that was a great send-off.
I'm really struggling to think of things that are bad, but one thing that does stand out is when they break the dragon out of Gringotts prison, the CGI is pretty bad. That's something that stood out.
That's a great one. That was the one time where you think, oh, what year was this made?
Yeah, like legitimately. I'm really struggling to think of anything. Do you have a bad one? We can do 2 goods.
I don't. Yeah, I could probably think of something else that's good.
I have
Oh,
something
you know what? I'll say another bad thing. I think the ending is a bit convoluted. Oh, I know. My bad is the ending
The whole
sequence when
ending.
they're older.
The fan fiction that J.K. Rowling accidentally left at the end of her final draft, you mean?
That is gross. I don't know how
Yeah,
that got in there.
I actually forgot that I'm really sad that I forgot that, because that is the worst thing that's ever been.
And also
committed.
the whole plot relying on Voldemort spending his whole life trying to kill Harry, and then when he does do it, he's like, Hagrid, you know, the person who loves Harry, who carried him as a child, you carry him.
Yeah.
If anyone else had carried him, they'd be like, oh, this kid's alive.
This kid is totally alive.
He's sleeping. And Hagrid was still so stupid he didn't even know Harry was sleeping. Unless he cast some spell. So that part was the one time it took me out where I'm like, oh, that's so dumb. When everything was so good leading up to that point.
I'm happy because at this point we're getting very, very nitpicky,
yes.
Which is good. To cap off this one, I could say like, oh, it's really cool when he kills Voldemort, but that's not even like, honestly, the battle sequence is really dope. And I would say one of the coolest parts that is movie exclusive, meaning it's not borrowed from the book, is when Minerva McGonagall just like strolls up to that front and she's like, Incantatem, let's go hardcome. And then just all of a sudden like 40 knights in shining armor just fall down. And then there's giants fighting and stuff. It's like a Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And you got people dying left and right. This is really, I mean, of course, it's the finale, but this is when Harry Potter was in it. It was Harry Potter. This ain't your grandma's Harry Potter kind of ordeal. Kids dying left, right, Neville cutting snakes in half. It's a great time, but there's only one thing that's greater, Matt, and what is it?
Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix
Let's go.
Was exactly, this is the one time they brought in a different screenwriter. Cloves did all the other ones. They brought in another guy, and what he did was he looked at the book. He took one villain out of it, Dolores Umbridge. He took a few other elements, and he's like, that's your movie. That's all we're going to do. The beginning is going to show her. She's going to be a bitch the whole time. She's going to do despicable things to Harry, and it's all going to be about Harry rising up the army. Huge swaths of that book were just left on the cutting room floor. We don't need any of that shit. This movie was exactly how you take a book and make it a movie. They're not the same medium. A movie is watched in 2 hours. A book is read over the course of 12 to 30 hours. There needs to be things cut, and that doesn't mean put a little bit of everything in it. It means don't make a smoothie that has pizza in it because you like both. Make a smoothie. Leave the pizza in the fridge.
I'm really having an issue thinking of bad things about this movie, so I propose that we just do 4 great things. How about that?
Yeah, good number 2.
Number 2, things that are cool about Order of the Phoenix. Luna fucking Lovegood, excuse my French, with her cool glasses, or maybe that's 6. I don't know, but let's just enjoy Luna Lovegood in her overalls, because she's very prominent in this one, and she actually she becomes a crew member. You know, she's there with. This is also the movie where Ginny and Neville and them, they're all like together. So her character, specifically with the tie into the Department of Mysteries, that is great stuff. What's another good thing, Matt? Give me that 2 spicy good thing.
When you realize what's happening when Dolores is putting Harry into detention, and the whole Dolores Umbridge character, the casting of it, the cats with the eyes going back and forth, she just seems like this. Of course, she loves cats, and the way she has him carve his own name, or I will not tell lies, into his arm, and the way they handled that scene, I couldn't believe they were showing it. I thought, God damn, I know Goblet of Fire had a death at the end of it, and Azkaban got a little darker, but this was just, baby. It was growing up, and they handled Umbridge's reign of terror. Oh, no, I want a new good thing. My favorite.
We both know what the good thing. We both have the same best part.
What's yours?
It's the best part of the whole entire franchise. It's the Voldemort.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say that. You tell me that. Oh, that was fucking awesome. Okay, I'll say mine because that's not as good, and then you can say yours, and it'll be
okay. You go ahead.
My favorite part of this movie is the use of montages.
Oh yeah, no, this is a really good montage
because they show, because a book is all about you hang out for like 10 pages, and every once in a while there's little another decrease put up, blah 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 blah. What's Hermione eating for lunch? Then another decrease. So they just went. Tons of decrees. They played a fun song, Umbridge. They showed the passage of time. It felt like I was reading a book, but watching a movie at the same time. Now, please tell me about this epic fight. This Darth Vader versus young Obi-Wan.
Look, kids, if you, for some reason, if you've never stepped foot into a Harry Potter cinematic world, and you don't plan on doing the whole 8 movies, do yourself a delicious flavor and YouTube Voldemort versus Dumbledore, Order of the Phoenix. If you want to know why Harry Potter is so good, it's because this is what the apex is. You have this wonderfully choreographed, and the audio is delicious. There's really no other word for it. It's so divine in comparison to what's going on screen. You have the most powerful good wizard that you've come to admire throughout the entire series versus the literal antagonist Voldemort, the ultimate evil of the film, going head to head, and it's nothing like the spells you've seen before. We have Voldemort spitting out a literal dragon of fire, Dumbledore pulling fountain water out and using it like a orb of water, and then we even get to the point where Voldemort is breaking all of the glass and throwing it at Dumbledore.
Oh my God.
The only thing that is not that great about this sequence is when Harry gets possessed, but even that is demented in its own way. And there's a lot of really, beyond the fight itself being awesome, there's a lot of good storytelling and narrative in there where Dumbledore pushes Harry to the side when he's attempting to fight. There's a whole lot of great stuff put into the scene, and not only is it exhilarating to watch, but it means a lot in the whole entire idea of the Harry Potter universe. This is the first time Voldemort's back. This is the first epic fight he's had. It has just as much weight on the screen as it does in the universe. It's probably the best scene in the entire movie. I'm just going to say that. In the entire series, I would say.
You nailed it. Those are our rankings. You can watch our further deeper thoughts on every single movie. We have a Harry Potter movie review playlist. We're also going to be doing a live stream maybe Friday evening. We'll keep you posted. You can follow me at Twitter at GameThinkTalk. You can follow Matt on Twitter at
SGC64Matt.
And we will post our Twitter, and our live stream will be a discussion where we really get into it and talk about why we ranked them, where we did. But you can check out, if you want to see now, we have a whole playlist with all the Harry Potter movie reviews. Thank you so much for joining us. Our next series review is going to be, tell them, Matt, what it is.
Lord of the Rings. Y'all don't just walk into Mordor without us reviewing it. Come on now.
That's right. Thanks for watching. Share it with somebody you think might like it. It really, really helps out. But until then, you have a good day. Expelliarmus.
Keep it magical, bros.